Hi, everyone, and welcome to Autism Hope Education Page. I am just so excited to have somebody that I've known for at least 9 years, we figured out today. Her name is Christina Adams, and she has written a book called Camel Crazy. And I just think this is crazy that we're talking about it, because how cool is this whole thing that's going on with you right now? You're on a book tour, you're helping hundreds of thousands of people around the world. I just think this is absolutely fantastic. So welcome, Christina. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you. And yes, we've known each other for a while, and I admire what you're doing as well. And we're going to have fun right now.
Yeah, we're going to have Camel Crazy fun. It's going to be great. So let's talk about this. Well, first of all, who knew that you could drink camel's milk? I remember when I first heard you talking about it, I was like, wait, I'm sorry, what? Did she just say camel's milk? Well, first of all, where do you even find one? So we'll get into all of that, but let's talk about why you're so passionate. I know you have a son, and you have a story. So let's let the world hear, why you dived into camel's milk.
Okay, so first of all, we'll say that camel milk is really a very, very interesting topic, because I never imagined writing about a farm animal, which basically it is in other parts of the country, the world. Here it seems kind of strange and exotic and all that, but it's just a really well-known building block of humanity, and helped to bring in all these great trade goods and spices across the desert centuries ago, and has really helped contribute to our society as far as just being an animal. But I never thought I'd be writing about one. So I was at a children's book fair here in Orange County, California, where I live, and I saw a camel at that book fair. My son was busy, he was reading, and I was like, what's a camel doing here if none of these kids are riding it? Because I was very bored, and I just went over and I saw a guy that had a farmer cap on, and he was selling soap and lotion made from the milk. And then I said, what else do they do with the milk? And he said, well, they give it to infants in the hospital in the Middle East who are premature, because it's thought to be maybe close to human breast milk and non-allergenic. And so boom, there was my light bulb moment, because I'd already been working on the whole autism recovery thing for years. And my first book was called A Real Boy, A True Story of Autism, Early Intervention and Recovery. I really learned about diet, biomed, all that stuff we have to learn, right? So I had all that knowledge in my mind when I met that camel. And so hearing those two things told me, I've got to find this milk, because it might help reboot his immune system, and his immune system was always connected to his autism symptoms. And removing cow milk back in the day was the number one thing we did, because it always made him hand flap, toe walk, and even when he was able to talk and got better, he said, when he got it accidentally once, it feels like there's dirt in my brain.
Wow.
So I had known that was a bad thing, but the camel milk, I had to go crazy to get it in, which is the first use of the word crazy. And so I had to call a lot of people. There was zero information on the internet. And then after a few months passed by, which I was also a newly single mom at the time, which we, always get nervous about, is having no support for us with our autistic kids, but I was still pursuing it. So then I found an article that said they'd given it to children in the Middle East, and it was for helping food allergies and autism. So I was like, boom, I got to find it. So I managed to get some in from Bedouins in the desert outside Jerusalem, probably like that area, and gave it to him, and he got unbelievably better overnight.
Wow. Did you give a lot to him, or just like a little bit, or?
No, it gave him just a few ounces, and I gave it its cereal at bedtime, because we've been using potato milk. And I had, potato milk was a thing. And I had tried rice, I had tried soy, all those things we autism moms do when we don't want dairy in the diet. But those can fire allergic responses, as you might know. So he couldn't handle all that. Potato was okay, but it wasn't really doing what animal milks can, because we know that animal milks can help build bone health and do things that non-animal milks can't. So giving him that was amazing. And not only did it help his autism symptoms tremendously, about 30% overall, it really helped over the years, food infractions. He would just start wigging out and going, wild, as some of them do on sugar and things like that. And it would just within 15 minutes resolve. And no more antifungals needed, no more nystatin, no more things like that. So it's really been an incredible thing. And then once I started learning about camels and tracking them down, I am a writer by trade, and I've been a journalist, and so I was like, okay, here's a story that isn't being told. And I do love camels because they're amazing. They're crazy animals, that they're so unusual scientifically. And then the people are just charming and wonderful. So I've met the most amazing people from, Amish cultures in America who milk camels now, and people in India I've spent time with, people in the Middle East, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Somali people. So that's all in the book, and I've had some fun adventures, but I am passionate about the milk and the people now.
I just love it. I see these pictures of you on Facebook, and you're in the middle of, I don't know where, it looks like the middle of the desert, and like there's a camel there, and you're dressed all beautiful, and there's, this camel just, right next to you, and it's just crazy. And I'm looking at it going, I mean, who would have thought that, 9 years ago you would have been like, oh, okay, I'm going to be in the middle of a desert with a camel and I'm going to figure this all out. And I love it. I just think it's just such a cool story. And now, in the autism community, we talk a lot about dairy-free, soy-free, gluten-free, clearly. When you're thinking about camels, is it dairy-free? Is it okay to give to a child who's on a dairy-free, soy-free, gluten-free type diet?
Okay, so a few things to know about that. First of all, it is a milk and it has a lot in common with other milks, but it's different also. So it does have lactose, but very, very small amounts. And it generally causes no issues with lactose intolerant people, number one. So number two, the casein is different. It's a different structure. It's not going to cause any problems like cow milk or even goat milk generally does. So except for cases of very rare milk allergy, that's not going to happen with camel milk. There are studies that showed severe cow milk allergic children, about like 24 of them approximately. There were like 2 that showed, sensitivity to camel milk. But usually, not only is it beneficial for them if they have food allergies, it doesn't cause, the real reactivity. So that's one thing that you don't really have to worry about unless you're one of those rare cases. And then number 2, it's not just the lack of, the casein in cow milk, which can induce autism symptoms. It's actually that the camel milk itself produces peptides that help cause an antioxidant effect. Oxidative stress is a big deal in autism, and anytime you can lower that, it's a good thing. So there's been a clinical trial in Saudi where they took a lot of autistic kids and their oxidative stress improved, and you could also track it along with the autism behavioral rating scores. So as the years have gone by, there's been more evidence, and I did write a medical journal article myself that really helped change things for this and start the industry, along with another article I did. And so it's been cited about 12 or 13 times now because it really helped spur research. And so now we have other scientists that are really looking into this, so we're learning more and more. And generally, you don't have to worry about it. You just treat it like regular milk. Now, there are different forms of it. And in the book, I have a user's guide in the back. So it'll tell you, like, this is how you can use it. This is what you want to use it for. This is how you prep. In autism land, we have to prep. We have to know how to give it so we don't mess it up with other stuff. And serving tips, because of our kids, it's not going to be like everybody else. I mean, some kids are not picky at all. Other kids, you got to work to change things for them. And, so in the back, I have a user's guide for all the questions that people like us are going to want to know. But in the book itself, I explain a lot about this journey and the milk too.
So where does somebody get it? Like, I don't remember ever seeing it in the store still. Like, I'll be at Whole Foods and I haven't seen it. Maybe I'm missing it, but I don't know. Like, do you just go to the store? Do you order it online? Does it come from the Middle East to your door in like a container with like coldness in there? I have no.
Okay, I used to have to fly it in suitcases, frozen suitcases, and it cost me like $1,700 a load. I got USDA permission to do it, and I was always like, ooh, 24-hour journey, from the desert to the plane to me picking it up at LAX, but it always made it. So you don't have to do that anymore. So now in the back of the book, Camel Crazy, and the whole title is A Quest for Miracles in the Mysterious World of Camels. I have that user guide, and then right behind that is a whole list of where to buy it. So in America, I have the distributors. And so some of them just sell it directly, but then some of them also place it in stores. So in Beverly Hills, they've been selling it for like $30 a 16-ounce bottle. And then Bristol Farms has been selling it here. It's in the freezer section, but it's pretty expensive if you get it straight from the store. So, you can order from the farmers, you can order from another source. They're in the book, but it's not as extreme as it once was. I mean, you can push a button now and have it in a couple days. So you know,
You have to go to
crazy,
LAX.
crazy progress.
You
Yeah.
don't have to go to LAX and pick it up in a suitcase anymore.
Or
Wow,
it's,
I
yeah.
never knew you did that. That is insane. I mean, we've all done crazy stuff. Like when I think about it and I hear other moms talking, I don't think people that aren't in the autism community that just, you know, have neurotypical children really understand us moms go through to get whatever the thing is we need.
No, they don't. And I didn't even know this would work. Like I didn't even know, but I just had that feeling. I just had that drive. And you know, that's a thing I want to tell our community. Your intuition is a form of your intelligence. And maybe we don't know everything. I mean, no one can know everything. Maybe we don't have all that science language. I mean, at first I didn't have all that. I really didn't, but over the years it developed. But our intuition, I mean, I always had intuition and I wish I listened to that. So you got to learn things and keep an open mind. Sometimes you're not always right, but you got to honor what you think yourself. And this is really an intuition meets preparation story.
Now, I know this is kind of maybe a silly question, I'm not sure, but you know how we do a lot of food allergy tests. Is there a test that tests for camel's milk?
You can, if you have an allergist that's open-minded and has access to it, you can probably do that. You could go to the office, you could set it up, you could probably take some and say, let's do a test. So I would say if you have a really, really severely allergic kid, that to do that. But then also you at home, if you really want, you can take the milk and, you know, test it yourself on the skin, like a skin patch test. And I do talk about that in the back of the book. I give those kind of, you know, tips. But generally, it actually helps treat the food allergies. And so even mothers that are nursing and their kid is like that failure to thrive kid or that kid that's, you know, throwing up everything, then they should really start drinking camel milk because that can help pass the antibodies on to their child. And the antibodies are very special. They're super tiny. Only the shark and the camelids have these little tiny, tiny antibodies. And so they can really penetrate human flesh and tissue, and they can kill what they call pathogens, just as like bacteria, virus, and you know, things like that. So it really does help the body. It's like an immune booster, and you know, it's also related to other things like skin conditions, juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes. I have dosages for those in the back. Technically, I don't say the word dose because it's not a medicine; it's a food. But you know, suggested servings. So.
Well, and honestly, food is either medicine or poison is how I believe, though, because food can be so healing. And I think often so many people don't realize that until they have to realize that. So
That's right. And a lot of the research I've done in here, this is all like really cutting edge stuff because I've really turned into a science geek. And also the publishing company, they have a great freelance science oriented editor that we work together. So it's got all the citations in it. You can show it to your doctor. But what I'm basically kind of saying is that this is all really cutting edge. I have a little bit, and it's all easy to read, not too much, but it's got that information on the gut-brain connection and how even pregnant mothers, if you're in a state of inflammation, raises risk of autism. You know, they're showing now that certain things in food additives, in certain kinds of food, which is very prominent, raises that inflammation, raises the risk of autism, ADD. It's, you know, connected to all kinds of these disorders that we see now. It's really, really sad. So I really do put that in there in a very readable way. And you can give it to your doctor. You can give the book to your therapist, things like that, because it's got the stuff they'll be looking for to pick it apart, and they'll be like, oh, I didn't know. What do you know? Here it is.
now with camel's milk, can you cook with it the same way you could like coconut milk or almond milk or even traditional milk? Can you still bake if you needed to with it? Obviously, you mentioned cereal, so you can still drink it in the traditional way. But what about heating?
I do bake with it. I do cook with it. I made lobster mac and cheese for one of my daughters that's lactose intolerant for her birthday. And I've made banana bread with it. I make all kinds of things with it. So for those forms, you can use the liquid or you can use the powder. But if you really want the raw, because a lot of people do like the raw liquid milk as being, you know, ultra unprocessed, powerful stuff, then, you know, serve it cold raw if you want, and then you don't want to heat it. But you can buy milk also slightly pasteurized, like quickly pasteurized, and that's having a great effect on the kids too. The powder is having a good effect. So it's just what you need. Everybody's individual in this world, as you well know. You know, we all know that these kids are different. And certain subtypes of autism are tied to certain forms of stomach bacteria now, like gut bacteria that we know. I even mentioned that a little bit in the book. So you got to figure out what's going to work for your child. And I was just talking to a Malaysian friend, and his son got so much better from autism symptoms on, believe it or not, a half a teaspoon of camel milk powder.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean, even in my world, that's like, wow. So, and then some people need like more. So some people need a few ounces a day, some people this and that. So it's very individual, but I give tips on how to, how to work it in
And
the
so,
back.
I know a lot of people watching and thinking, well, what does it taste like? Does it taste like milk? Does it taste like rice milk? What does it taste like?
Well, that's the number one question. What does it taste like? Because again, like we're not used to this kind of stuff in these countries, in our countries and European countries, but other places they live on it for centuries. So the number one thing is, what does it taste like? And the number one answer is when they try it, they say, oh, it just tastes like milk.
Oh, wow.
I think it's better than goat milk. Goat milk's a little goaty, but if you get a nice, fresh, clean batch of camel milk, which we're lucky in this country, we get excellent quality camel milk. It pretty much tastes like just plain milk. I mean, if it's raw, then you can kind of taste like, oh, this farm's a little different from this farm because the water is different, the grass is different, and the farmers raise them kind of organically here. So, you got that natural cheese, like the fine cheese flavor going on.
Oh, can you make cheese out of it? That's another question that just came to mind.
You can, but you have to add a special enzyme. And I know a lady who's won a Rolex Award for Business who did pioneer that process, and she's in Mauritania. Her name is Nancy, and she's a real pioneer. And you're going to meet these amazing people in the book who are just like pioneering people with camel milk. But then you're also going to meet like the people that I'm hanging out with that are the herders who've been doing this for centuries and believe they were created to raise and take care of camels by, their Lord Shiva, that's their purpose in life. So I'm like hanging out with these great people and having an awesome time. And, join me in the book because we've got a couple of fun moments there. I'm eating some food with the herders out. It's all natural. They're cooking on the flames and serving me. It's so sweet of them. And there's a couple of fun moments where I like almost die. And then, and then there's a Me Too moment in a camel souk. So yeah, moms and dads, this is a fun read. It's not all boring science. It's mainly a fun read, but you're going to learn stuff too.
It's definitely a journey. My goodness, who would have thought, right? I mean, I'm imagining you sitting out in the in the herds or whatever with these people cooking for you. And I can't imagine that, but I can imagine you from the pictures I've seen, right? And I mean, moments like that, I have to think like you just don't want to forget those moments when you're like 95. Like you want to remember like I was in the middle of nowhere and these herders were like, cooking for me and I'm trying this new stuff. Like when you got that diagnosis of your child, I guarantee you that was never something you would imagine. And now your son is doing phenomenally well. So let's fast forward a little bit. And I mean, I know because I follow you on Facebook and I've known you for a while. But for those that are still new to all this, tell us where your son's at today.
Well, he just called me a few minutes ago and he's in his apartment and he's like, I want to let you know I got the rat. I'm like, rat? What rat? And he said, well, and he lives in nice apartments, don't get me wrong, but it must have been a ground floor apartment. And they're very nice. Trust me, no one would have a problem. But I was like, what are you talking about? And so I guess there's a wooded area where they came in and he said, I saw it in my room and scampered into the vanity. So I went and got a trap and I tracked it for 2 days. I just caught it and I took it out and I took care of him and I disposed of him and this and this. And he goes, I'm feeling pretty like, hey, I just did that. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty manly. That's a man thing you did. and yeah, that was really, really cool. And so he's studying. He's studying in community college, and he's going to concerts here and there with some buddies and all that. And he's just doing really well. I don't ever say the word cure because a true cure of autism symptoms, I mean, how to define that? Really, I mean, there's definitions, but they're not biomedical definitions. But he's great. He still has a couple issues, but he's awesome. So every day is getting better. That's the good part. And he's pretty independent. I mean, like he did a radio show with me once, and he just like blows me away. He's very philosophical, really into politics and history and funny stuff and all that. So that's again, like you said, when you get that diagnosis, it's horrific, gloom and doom. What's going to happen to them? What's going to happen to them? And you pretty much have to sacrifice like more than you would ever even knew you had in you to even survive doing this, because it's not only them, the kids that struggle and you're trying to help, It's the way the rest of the world treats you, the whole family.
Yeah.
So, but then conversely, there's wonderful people. And that's part of my book. I'm sitting there, newly single mom of my child, scared, living in a condo behind the freeway. And so I end up being helped by all kinds of people that I didn't know before. I didn't know them. Most of them from other cultures, other countries, kindest people you ever met, doing things for me because I was helping my son. So they've shaped my world. They've changed my world. And, it's just really, really amazing. I mean, we just got, the book just got a big half a page write-up in the Rajasthan Patrika, which is a big newspaper in India. And they're really happy. They're proud of that, an animal from their culture has helped kids around the world. So it is something that you look back and you're like, I couldn't make this up.
No, you definitely could. Well, I am just so happy for you. And I love that he's in his own apartment. That's just even like so cool. That's all of our dream, right? And I just think your journey is just amazing. And now how do people find you? I know you're on a book tour and like I saw a picture of you on Facebook and there was this big line. People were asking for her signature in the books. And I mean, it's so cool. She gets to tell this awesome journey. I'm just so happy for you. And so how do people find you? And what if they want to meet you or have you come speak or however, how do they get to you?
Well, I would love to really share this with my beloved autism community. It's really a book, that took its roots there and it has a lot to contribute. So you can find my website. It's ChristinaAdamsAuthor.com. Pretty easy. I'm on the usual suspects, Twitter at Christina Think, and Facebook, I have a public page, Christina Adams Author. So you can find me, but I'm on Instagram, same thing, Christina Adams Author. But I would really like to really get the book out more to the autism community. I've been so busy researching it and writing it that I haven't really been in touch with a lot of my autism buddies as much as I would like. So if anybody wants me to come out and talk, because I do speak, we can do a actual PowerPoint presentation where you're going to get all the detail that you wish you had or that you wish you didn't. But or we can do just a fun one. So I do speak to a lot of different audiences, and I'll be happy to do it for my dearest community to my heart.
And where do they get your book?
So the book is available at Amazon.com, any of the usual places that you buy books. If you're an international buyer, the Amazon link should shift to your country, but if it doesn't, there's a thing called Book Depository. You can get it anywhere, free shipping. And then, of course, bookstores. If you can go to bookstores and ask them to carry it, order a copy for you, that would be really wonderful. And you can also ask your library to order it because, some of us are on a budget in our autism community. So you can go to the library, get them to have it. And I really would appreciate getting the story out, not only because it will help so many people, but also because the amount of books that sell on these type of topics do send a message to the publishing world and if the better they sell, the more likely they are to publish the next one and get these messages out.
Love it. Well, your story is just so inspirational. I'm just couldn't happen to a neater person. I just think this is such a cool story and a happy ending. It really is. And it's definitely Camel Crazy because who would have thought Christina would have been sitting on a camel when
I'm around a lot of camels. I'm actually going next weekend. I'm going to spend 3 days at a gorgeous camel farm in California, signing books and speaking to big crowds. I've been in Texas to a camel conference. There is actually such a thing as a camel lid conference. I just found out I'm going to speak at. Wow. And it's just been really fun. And autism, writing, camels, culture, health, they all come together. Who couldn't even think that, but Camel Crazy, that's what's going on.
Camel Crazy, Christina from Orange County. No one would have ever thought. I love it, love it, love it. And again, I'm glad there's a happy ending. And, for everybody watching, just don't give up. And as Christina definitely explained, she went to LAX to pick up this stuff, that was frozen, praying that it would be okay in the 24 hours that it was being shipped. And, we all do what we got to do and following our gut really at the end of the day. And so thank you for sharing your message, Christina, and for all that you do for the community.
Thank you. It's been so great to be with you today and everyone. And it's just very special to me. So, definitely let me know what you think. Camel Crazy, if you like it, let me know. If you like it, go on Amazon and do a review. Hopefully it's a nice one. And love you all. You're my peeps. Love you.
Yeah, definitely you guys check out Camel Crazy. And to everybody, just remember, don't give up. There's so many options and there's definitely hope. Until next time. Bye, guys.